Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Culture Convos. I'm Aaron. This is Daniel. We got some good topics coming for you guys today. So a little bit of basketball, a little bit of just TikTok news.
That's right.
Some culture, and then we got to rep the women. Women's History Month is this month, and so we're going to
shout out to the ladies.
Shout out to all the ladies of the world. And, yeah, there we go. What's up, Daniel?
Let's just dive right in, man.
I'm ready.
I think I spent this entire weekend watching basketball, like most of the country right now.
Oh, yeah.
Happy March Madness. I don't know if that's an actual holiday, but
it definitely is.
It should be. Man, so the crazy thing about March Madness is if you know nothing about March Madness or nothing about college basketball, if you know nothing about those things, you could still have fun with March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
And so, man, we want to just to like hear, man, we want to hear from you guys really. Like what's the best way to fill out a bracket? So I'm going to start by talking about how I fill out mine, and it's not good. If you are, if you're in my bracket pool, you'll see that it's not good. But that's what I do every year. So I usually start by filling out a bracket with my heart. So that means usually Texas goes a lot further than they need to go. Hook 'em horns, baby. Good game last night. Tough loss. But hey, they usually go a lot further than they should. And then I do another bracket where I'm filling with my mind. And so I listen to all the talking heads on all the ESPN radio, and usually they lead me astray. So that's usually how I do my brackets. I think about it, and I still not very good. What about you, man? How do you fill out your bracket?
Man, this year was different. This was the probably least amount I paid attention to it this year. But my brother was like, dude, it's March. You know what that means? And so I hopped on, and I filled it out the best I could. I normally just do the common knowledge that I already know, just keeping up with sports. And then I'll look at the statistics that ESPN gives when you're filling out the bracket. I don't go into like deep data dives like on websites because they have websites like that. But
they do.
I stick to the points, how many points per game, how many defensive stops, or stuff like that they give you on the website. And then I pick my faves. Honestly, this year I got Texas Tech going all the way and winning it, which The past years it is bold. It's very bold, but the past couple of years have told us that it's not out of the question.
That's right.
Not out of the picture. So I don't know, man.
That's why we love March Madness, because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. One of the best ways that I have heard of people choosing their bracket is by going with mascots. It's a mascot battle. There's some really good mascots in this year's field. It was shout out to St. Peter's.
St. Peter's.
Yeah, you go 15 seed playing in the Sweet 16. I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly. Well, they're the Peacocks. Dude, shout out to the Peacocks.
That's the other guy, bro.
And so
the other
there
guys.
You go. That's my favorite mascot this year. I don't know if you've got
Peacock. I have a favorite mascot.
What you got?
And it's Raider Red. It's the Texas Tech mascot. I don't care.
I should have known better, yeah.
Dude, they had them try to guess mascots, and Raider Red is like a very obvious mascot, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'm biased because I know him.
They're in Texas.
But, like, he's got a cowboy hat on. Like, what else would that be? And they were like, I don't know what that is. And I was like, dude, that's like, he has a belt with a gun on it.
There you go.
Dude, it's wild.
Hey, shout out to Charles Barkley. You're more than welcome to come and hang out with us. We're also thinking, man, you think March Madness future, if you're out there listening, watching, you're definitely invited to come on next time we do this. We'd love to have you. So Charles Barkley future, hey, March Madness, that's you guys.
Talk to our agents. But
who's you have in your Final Four? Who do you got?
Dude, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got Texas Tech versus Baylor, which is already not happening.
That's right.
Texas Tech still got a chance. And then I have Kansas versus Villanova. And that's still possible. But I don't know why I picked all Big 12 teams or almost all Big 12 teams, but they're doing pretty good.
Best conference in college basketball this year.
I agree. I think so, but it's tough. It's always tough.
That's right. All of you that like fill out 45 brackets, this doesn't count for you. We're talking about like your one real bracket. You can't be filling out like 30 of them. So in my final bracket, I forgot because I filled out a couple of them.
Yeah.
But the one that I actually am going with, I've got Gonzaga versus Kentucky, which that's not going to happen.
Nope.
Shout out to St. Peter's. And then I have Arizona and Kansas, which is
solid.
Possible.
Yeah.
Who do you got winning the whole thing, man?
Dude, I've already said their name 20 times.
That's
Texas Tech, dude.
That's right.
I wore this hat intentionally today because I knew we were talking about this topic.
Go Red Raiders.
Go Red Raiders. That's right, dude.
Hey, man, if the Big 12 gets it, that's good. Baylor had it last year.
Yeah.
Win it this year. It'd be back-to-back years for Big 12. That'd be good. I've got Gonzaga. They've been there so long. They deserve one.
I wouldn't say they deserve it.
Deserve one.
Nah, dude. Nah.
They deserve one.
We're not giving it to them.
Hey, well, you know what else happens in March? We are in the middle of Women's History Month. That's why we said shout out to the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so we wanted to actually spin this a little bit. Man, there have been some just incredible women. We were talking about this, but incredible women in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Not only just in like upbringing and raising and supporting, but we've talked about this before, but there's just been some incredible women in our lives that have shaped our faith. And we want to take a little bit of time and pose the question to you guys first, man. If you got any special women in your life that have influenced you greatly and just meant something to you, take some time this month. Give them a shout out, call them, text them, thank them for who they are and what they mean to you.
Women's History Month. It's, first of all, like a couple of other topics, but it's weird that women have like 1 month where we're like, oh, women. I find that to be a little odd, but it is cool that this is a time to especially celebrate them and to highlight the things that they've done for us and the things that they continue to do for everybody around the world. Specifically, I was able to, like, when we came up with this topic, I was like, dude, this is something that I really don't ever pay attention to normally. Not intentionally, just because it's, I don't know. I just don't. I just forget. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, there's 3 women in my life that have influenced me the most, whether that's spiritually or just on a daily basis or like with daily growth. And so my 3 are my mom, my Aunt Carol, and my wifey.
That's right.
My wifey Tay, man.
1 month,
It's
right?
wild. 1 month.
Congratulations.
1 month. That's wild, man. It's so weird. She was telling me a story the other day, and she was like, yeah, my husband went to Texas Tech. That she said that to the guy she was talking to. And I was like, that's crazy. You're calling me husband in conversations. It's like, I'm not used to it yet.
There it is.
But I'll just make this real brief, Bram. But my mom, of course, the spiritual rock at the beginning of my life up until this point, always pushing me to grow spiritually, to experiment and like really find that relationship and cultivate it with the Lord. My Aunt Carol has probably one of the strongest faiths I've ever seen in my life. And in any of the hardships she goes through or we're going through as a family or I'm going through personally, she's always there to just remind me like, hey, God's got this. He's bigger than all your problems. Don't worry about it. Like, we'll get through this, essentially, you know? Yeah. And then my wifey, Tay, this journey in our kind of relationship history, she kind of brought me back to Christ. And not that I was, like, far away from it, but, you know, you have these hills and valleys, man. It's a constant struggle to stay close. And she kind of just rekindled that relationship with Jesus, and it's freaking awesome, man. So good. We're riding that wave, dude. It's awesome.
That's so good. Man, there have been some incredible women in my life. I know my mom is definitely one.
Yeah.
My mom is probably one of the sweetest, most caring, compassionate people I've ever met. Daily, just gives, just exudes like who Jesus is, and as an example for me, it's just been incredible. So shout out to my mom, even though she might never see this. Hey, shout out to Mom. My wife is another one. Lauren is just fantastic. She is so compassionate. She is just so intentional with people that it strives me to be better and more focused on like people every day. And so just can't say enough about her and just the growth we've had together. And then also, I mean, just like look around like our church body. I mean, we're blessed to be part of a church that has so many women just leading and just being examples every day for children, other women, men. Like, I mean, there've just been some really, really great examples of women in my life that I'm just super, super blessed to say that I can call them friends or relatives.
Yeah. And it's something that I will cherish forever now. Seeing the examples for my wife, future mother of my children. Yeah. It's just really cool to see. It's cool to just be surrounded by people like that, you know?
Yeah. We've done a little bit of research. What we're going to do is we're actually going to put some of those in the description. Just some stories, some names of some women that we would love for you guys just to dive into and learn, not only from like biblical perspective, but there's just some women as far as pillars of our faith that just love to follow. Even some women out there doing amazing things today that you can follow on social media or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, women, y'all are rock stars. Cool. I think, again, the challenge for you guys out there watching is, hey, take some time, think about those women that have invested in you and that that are just so important to you. And it's amazing what happens when you write a thank you note out to somebody, or you do a special text, or you call them and just say like, hey, thanks for being awesome. Like, thanks for being a great example. So there you go, ladies. super, super appreciative for you. Hey, so we were talking about some things that were happening around us in culture, and one of the craziest stories I think I have read as far as like politics or news or any of that kind of stuff had happened, I think 4 or 5 days ago, right? So the current administration of our government invited TikTok stars in on a news briefing for the first time ever. Just shout out to show you what 2022 brings and the power that TikTok has in our current climate and culture. So if you don't know this story, hey, some of the most famous TikTokers were invited into a Zoom call to be pressed in giving news information over just the current update of Ukraine and Russia and things that are going on over there. So it's incredible that like the United States government has recognized just how much news is getting put out and through TikTok. Word of warning, hey, don't just get all your news from one source. Hey, spread it out.
Right.
Show some love. So anyway, so they invite these TikTokers in, and some people were super pumped about it. Like, hey, what a better way to get our generation, the generation below us, Gen Z, millennials, what a way to get them involved in the news. But also, man, how crazy is that TikTokers are in?
That blows my mind, dude. It's one of the weirdest things ever. And it's sometimes I'm like, why is this even a platform? But then you see that outreach and the power that it has, and you're like, okay, this can be used for potentially good information and good news, which is just awesome if it's used that way. But if it's not, then that's kind of scary. But
we were actually talking about this morning of like, what a way for these news outlets, these news sources to translate what they want to get across into a language and an understanding and a platform where they can actually reach who they're trying to reach, right? The Gen Z generation or the millennial generation that's on TikTok. Man, what a way to just think outside the box, I guess. For lack of better term.
Pretty
to get
smart.
Your news out there. Yeah. And so we were talking about this morning of just like, man, this is crazy that for regular news, news that's happening here, they're doing that. But it got us thinking like, hey, we've got the best news, right? Like, so how do we as a church, I work at a church. It's like, how do we working at a church translate the ultimate news, like the news of Jesus? Like, how do we get that into the structure and the mindset of current generations? And so this just really got us thinking about that. So it's really easy for me to talk on that because, hey, I work for a church, and that's part of like my job is to get this into a translation to where students can recognize and pick this up. But I wanted to give you the space first to just talk about like, man, what does that look like for you working in a quote secular job? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's been something I've been wrestling with recently, even prior to our talk. But man, I think that first of all, let me preface and say that I'm not perfect at it. It's really hard to do. And there's a lot of stigmas around why it's hard, but first of all, it's sometimes it's hard or difficult to express your faith, especially out loud, only because for me personally, it's like the fear of either being pushed aside or the fear of being made fun of or whatever it may be, because that's happened to me in the past. And so, but now it's a different story for me because I have so much more confidence and strength in that relationship that I have. But today, like in practical senses, like I can be different and stand apart by the way I talk to people, how I treat people, and more specifically, like in my platform, I'm on social media, I'm on YouTube and stuff. I try to put out positive and fun entertainment type videos and stuff. And so with that, like relaying it back to like a positive message that I've heard, which is something that I'm going to start incorporating into new content that I put out and produce and stuff. But I think it's tough to do, but also it's not on the forefront of my mind a lot because just that's hard to do. It's hard for me to put that at the forefront, which is why I'm changing that and I'm trying to change that narrative for me. And other people do it with like, they'll interject some thought of like a dream they had or something they've been thinking about. But it's like, why is that any different for me or anybody else that has like good news to share about something that I'm passionate about and like the ultimate like word, But it is tough. It's super hard. And so honestly, this culture convo is the thing. We started this thing out and it's going to help both of us, but me in a non-church role, emphasize that point more and hammer it home.
I think part of that, reminds me of this verse from Corinthians. It's 1 Corinthians 9:22, and it's like Paul talking about becoming all things to all people to get the message of the good news across. And like that's what we're stepping into. Like we're talking about things that people want to talk about. Culture convo. We talked about on our initial episode of like, hey, we don't know all the answers, but we want to step into that space with you to generate conversations, to have these things where, yeah, Jesus isn't just some guy who lived 2,000 years ago, but he is living and active and present in today's culture and conversations. And so using our platforms to share like just the good news of how much he loves you and cares for you and steps into whatever it is you're going through. And I think, man, it's commendable when people who don't work the church job can step in and point people back to like the gospel of Jesus and say, no. Hey, there is hope. There is love. There is forgiveness. There is wholeness. There is complete joy in this guy, right? I have the answer, and it's Jesus. And so here, I'm going to put little plugs out there that always point back to Jesus, and that's incredible.
And it is challenging to do that in a non-church role, but I think it's vital, and it also helps me grow in that, because I'm saying it to people, and I'm not saying it to preach to the crowd. I'm not saying it to say you should do it, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to practice anything I don't preach, and I'm going to try, my hardest to not. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but that also helps me stay in the Word. It helps me stay accountable for myself, which I think social media is a platform that aids in that for many people. People post like, gym statuses, when they're going through this fitness journey, and they're like, they're not going to post a before picture and not post the after picture, or they're not going to post the after picture and like leave you hanging and just say, hey, that's what social media does. And that's kind of one of the positive aspects of it. And so that's what I'm trying to lean towards and really push into, man.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's just, because the church isn't just a building that you go to on Sundays. Like the people that are part of the church are the church. And so taking that, I know we say it a lot at our churches, like church happens more between Sundays than it actually happens on Sunday. And so being able to step into where you are in life and just speak and have these conversations with people, man, that's so good. I think one of the biggest things is just like being intentional with that. Like it doesn't matter what your platform is. It could be social media. It could be being on a basketball team. It could be your work cubicle area. I mean, it can be whatever your platform is to speak life into people. Man, take that opportunity.
Yeah.
Do it. Be bold, be brave. We know that it can be scary, but like step into it.
Yeah.
Like be bold, be brave.
It's really cool. And this reminds me of a point we were also talking about today is that idea of like taking what other people say, whether it is about the Word or it's about the news or anything, not letting that be your only source of information, right? So like if somebody's talking ill about I don't know, the news, like they're saying something that they've heard from another person. Yeah. Maybe you dive deeper into that and
TikTok
you look into
news
it.
Can't be the only news source you get.
Exactly.
But if you do several news sources, for sure.
And I think like we were talking this morning, the same works with scripture and stuff. So like I can't just read other people's opinions and thoughts on this stuff. I have to dive in and get to hear from the horse's mouth. You know what I mean? For lack of a better or.
For the horse's mouth. That's good, man. Yeah. I think we were reading, what was it, in 1 John chapter 2, he's talking about like, hey, I've given you all you need. You've got the Holy Spirit and you've got the scripture right there in front of you. So let's dive in. So, man, that's just so good, man. So, hey, March Madness, Women's History Month, all of those things, stepping into conversation with people right where they are, telling them the good news, sharing with them that there is hope, there is joy, there's peace. Man, that's good. That's a good 3 topics. GK. Hey, so again, like we said last week, if you've got things that are coming up during the week that you want just some conversation to be around, again, we don't have all the answers, but we love to just have a conversation on camera, and hopefully you guys can join in the conversation. So,
dude, maybe one of these days, this thing has call-in capability, man. Maybe we can get some calls in.
That's right. We could call in. Yeah, you can join the conversation. But hey, man, I think that's we good.
I think that's a wrap.
Appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe,
like, share this bad boy.
Do it all. We appreciate it.
More importantly, though, think about these topics and get into it. Get into it. Dive deep.
Remember to thank a special woman in your life that has just spent a ton to you and just invested in you. So do that. And then leave a comment of what you want to see happen next Culture Convo. All right?
All right.
Later.
See you, man.